It's actually not that hard to find a great trade. What's hard is to realize a great trade, to maximize a great trade. And we get into a great trade and we have a mindset of scarcity. We're always fearful that we're going to give it back. We're always fearful that we could lose it. So what do? We take profits early. We overmanage the trade. We overfit. We over-customize. We over-optimize. And we take a great trade. It ends up being maybe even a loser, maybe even a full-fledged loser on something that you nailed. My name is Chuck Whitman, and I build great traders that lead great lives. Traders I've trained have generated in excess of $1 billion in trading revenue and are found at some of the largest proprietary trading firms and hedge funds in the United States. What's the one thing that you can adopt, that you can implement, that you could work on, that could massively improve your trading without learning another strategy, another indicator, another tool? That one thing is a mindset of abundance. Come on, Chuck. Seriously? Are we going to have another one of these abundance talks? Yes, we are, because it's that important. One of the things we talk about that's a foundational belief in my work with traders like you and our work in Trading Matrix, it's one of the reasons it's called the freaking Matrix, is that there is a game that's going on around us. There's a game that's going on that we participate in. And this game has rules that are made by other people, not by you. You don't make these rules. Many of the rules of the game, you're completely ignorant to. Some rules of the game, you know. You know things like when you come to a red light or a stop sign, you stop. When you come to a green light, you go. When you come to a yellow light, you proceed with caution. You know some rules like you can't drink until you're 21. You know some rules that you can't have 3 wives or 3 husbands. There are rules that are all around you, and they were made by somebody besides you. Now, in the Matrix, what we're doing is we are stepping out. We're recognizing that the rules of the game that are around us are not made by us, but we have the ability to decide which rules we'll follow and which rules we won't. And we have the ability to create our own rules. Now, how does this relate to abundance? Well, when we start talking about abundance versus scarcity, you get to create, you get to choose the rules you'll follow. You get to create the rules you will follow as it relates to abundance and scarcity. And the better you understand the rules, the more proactive you are in creating your rules, the happier, the more joyful, the more peace you will have in your life, and the better you will trade. Now we step back and we go through, we can bring in a whole bunch of different traders and we can line them up. And I'm talking about successful traders. We're not talking about people that can't make money trading. We could go line up a bunch of successful traders. And we'll go through, we can ask a series of questions to get commonality about what do they do to be successful. Now, if I sat and told you that the key for all of them in their success was that they had an abundant mindset, I would be full of shit. Because we would go through and we would find some traders that were incredibly skeptical, incredibly negative. In many respects, living in massive scarcity, even though they make a lot of money trading. Well, Chuck, you said the key, the one thing that was key was having an abundance mindset. But you just walked up and showed me several traders who make millions of dollars, billions of dollars, and they believe in scarcity. What gives? Because it's not just about making money. Yes, we want to make money. But it's also how happy are we when we do make the money? I know several traders, very, very successful traders that have made millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they are fucking miserable. Now, at first go, when you meet them, you might not see this, but if you start to spend any time around them, you will see they are miserable. There's a wake of bodies behind them, of relationships they've damaged, relationships they've destroyed, because it's always about the money, never about the person. It has to be about the money because we're in scarcity. You'll see all these people, you'll see these traders with millions of dollars. They accumulate more and more, and they never spend it. They never enjoy it because they're scared they'll lose it. See, one of the issues with books like Millionaire Next Door, this whole idea that we live incredibly frugally and we save and we save and we save, which I'm not opposed to living frugally or saving. The problem with a book like Millionaire Next Door is the mindset it puts in place. It is a mindset of scarcity. There won't be enough, so we're really going to sacrifice, so later there will be enough. But the problem is when you get to later, you don't magically shift your mindset because you went from 1,000 to 100,000 to 1,000,000 to 10,000,000 to 100,000,000. In fact, your views of scarcity can actually get bigger and bigger as you have more money, which means that you now have become a slave to the thing you fear. You fear being broke, so you save all of your money. You become a slave to the money rather than being free to yourself. Now, go back, and there are a bunch of traders who live in a mindset of abundance, and they not only make a lot of money, but they're really happy. They live with purpose. They live with joy. They live with generosity. They live in service. They are a force for good for everybody around them. Now, great. Let's break this down and get into how does this affect our trading. You can go and take a bunch of different courses. You can study with a bunch of different teachers. You can learn different techniques that will help you find great trades. It's actually not that hard to find a great trade. What's hard is to realize a great trade, to maximize a great trade. That is what is hard. And when we come into a trade and we get into a great trade and we have a mindset of scarcity, we're always fearful that we're going to give it back. We're always fearful that we could lose it. So what do? We take profits early. We overmanage the trade. We overfit. We over-customize. We over-optimize. And we take a great trade, and it ends up being, okay, maybe even a loser. Maybe even a full-fledged loser on something that you nailed. We had one of our students that we put on a hot seat at our quarterly planning session in April here in Chicago, and he's an ER physician. And we debriefed his quarter. His first quarter was a profitable quarter trading. But we went through and we started diving into the details. We started diving into the metadata and looking at what was going on in the data, what was going on in his trade setups. And we got down in there, we found some things that were really interesting. What we found, he carried a story that as an ER physician, when he was on call, he couldn't, with any type of certainty, know that he could be able to take any type of action in the market. So if he had a position on and there was something that needed to be done, he didn't feel confident he would be able to do it if he was in the middle of a life-saving surgery, for example. Makes sense, right? And remember, on the surface, our stories seem logical. Our stories seem rational. They make sense. But remember, our stories are the things that hold us back. Our stories are the lies that cover for our insecurities and our fear. So that was his story. But when we dove into it further, we started looking at his trades. And one of the things that was common across the mastermind is they were looking at his trades. There was this collective like, oh my gosh, he found amazing trades. Like the last boat out of port in stock indexes in late March, he like nailed the high and got short the Russell, like at the perfect level. He had a number of stocks that he shorted at the perfect level. And like that Russell trade was a great example. He nailed the high. The market sold off during the day, and the end of the day came, and he was like, well, I might have to go to work tomorrow. I need to cover this because I don't carry positions overnight. So he covered it for a 4-hour win, and he walked away very happy. Yay, I had a 4-hour win. If he held the trade just another week, it would have been a 30-hour win. And when we went through his trades, we could start to see, just in one quarter, we could start to see 50, 60, 70, 80 R that he left on the table. Not in some kind of optimization of, oh, we could have bought the low here. No. These are trades that he bailed on early. In many respects, didn't follow his rules. But his rules were, I can't take risk because I'm an ER physician. Well, that was his story. The truth is that he had a lot of fear about losing money. And because he had a lot of fear about losing money, he wouldn't stay in the trade. And he looks back on the quarter and he has a profitable quarter. I think maybe he was up 15 R for the quarter or something like that. It literally could have been 75 R. And at 75 R, everything for him around his trading changes. Everything in his life changes. All he had to do was have a different set of beliefs. He had the rules. He didn't even need to change his rules. He needed to have a different mindset that said, I will find a way to hold my winners overnight. He needed to ask a different question. Instead of saying, well, I can't afford to lose this money, so I'll cover. He needed to shift it to, how can I keep my positions to let them run while removing the potential for a large R loss overnight? I asked that question, he gets different answers. And that's what he did. So that's one aspect, which is really how we manage trades. If we are living in scarcity, we won't pull the trigger when the signal comes because we're afraid to be a loser. If we get into the trade and the trade's working, we'll get out early because we don't want it to be a loser. But there's another aspect to this that is, in many respects, to me, even far more insidious. It was something that I dealt with at a very deep and personal level in my own trading. And I'm going to share with you an interaction I had with one of my mastermind students named Kurt on the same idea.
I was in a trade. It was kind of working, and it was 8 o'clock, or just before 8, which is when my son goes to school. And he wanted to go out and play catch because he's in baseball right now, and he's learning to pitch and everything. So he wanted to go out and play catch. So I closed out the trade and went out and played catch with him, and it was all fine. It didn't didn't ruin my trading account or anything. I didn't miss any huge move, I don't think. But the bigger picture, bigger point was the understanding just that it doesn't really matter. So I mean, I've got limited number of days where my son's going to want to play catch before school, but I've got tons of days to go trading. So
See, I had a belief that the trade of the day, the trade of the week, the month, the year, it could show up at any time of day, any time of night. And you needed to be there. You needed to be there when it happened. Having this belief, I set myself up where I couldn't be away from the desk without doubting why I was away from the trading desk. I put myself in situations where I was at the desk for hours and hours and hours and hours so I wouldn't miss a trade. I worked orders all through the night. And many times I was up trading at night so I wouldn't miss the trade. I'd have nights I'd work till midnight, 1 a.m., doing all my analysis and getting my trading plans locked down. I'd go to bed and at 2 a.m. the alarm would go off. I have to get up out of bed, having only slept an hour, to start looking at a trade in Europe. And what I found was the longer this went on, the more angry I became. The more miserable I became because I lived in constant fear that I would miss the trade I needed. What did I do? I changed my rules. I changed my question. And I got a different answer. Instead of having a belief that said the trade of the day, the trade of the week, the trade of the month could occur anytime in 24 hours, I have to be there, I switched it to there are more than enough trades for me to realize my goals. They'll come at the time I need them to come. And if I miss them, there'll be another one. It's ironic. A core belief I've operated my whole life is the best trades in my career are in my future. They're not in my past. I've had some amazing trades in my past. I've either made or been part of trades that made millions in seconds, millions in minutes, multi-million-dollar trades over periods of days or weeks. They're amazing. But to this day, I know my best trades are in my future. They're not in my past. That's an abundant mindset, but it was getting muddled with everything else. So when I started asking different questions of how can I make great trades and not be on the desk all day? How can I make great trades and still get up early and do my meditations and prayers and workouts? How can I make great trades and still be with my family? How can I make great trades by appointment, setting a meeting on my calendar? How could I do these sort of things? This started to shift. So with my student, Kurt, one of the things you're going to see is you're going to hear him say that the more he works on his abundance, the more ease he's feeling in his trading, the more willing is to let trades go. One of the issues he had early in his career, he'd find really good trades, but he'd have losses that were too big because he couldn't get out. So now he's gotten to where he's comfortable taking losses. He's comfortable if he misses a trade. He's just focused on, do I follow my rules? If I follow my rules, I know everything will take care of itself. He's managing his trades much better. And it's because his mind is at ease. And this is because he's working on abundance. Now, if we step back for a second, how do we work on abundance? Abundance it's very interesting because to me, abundance is very much linked to your spiritual beliefs about God. Do you believe in God, and who is God? Is he a God who loves you unconditionally, who is filled with grace, who always provides for you? Or is he a God who is filled with vengeance, filled with judgment, anger, punishment? These beliefs matter. One is a God of abundance, the other is a God of scarcity. And if you don't believe in God at all, then what are your beliefs there? Do you believe you live in a random world, a Darwinistic world, where it's just a matter of time till you get taken out? Well, that's scarcity. But see, when you look in the human condition, one of the great things about humans is our brain is not great for how much it can remember. It's not great for how much it can process. Like, look right now versus AI. If you've spent any time at all with ChatGPT or Grok or AI platforms like this, you know the AI is way smarter than you are. It processes way faster than you do. That was always one of my super genius skills. It was my ability to process so fast. I have no shot against AI. Zero. The one thing the human brain does well is adapt. It adapts far faster than anything else on earth. And so when we get faced with adversity, we get faced with situations, our brain can shift. Our brain can evolve. And so one of the great things about humans is the human brain is able to overcome any form of scarcity through the ingenuity of the brain because it adapts. It finds solutions that are way different. It's able to change the questions and it's able to change the answers. That's why the thing that's holding you back is the story you're telling yourself. That story you're telling you is a symptom of the beliefs that you hold. If you change your story, if you change your beliefs, if you change your identity, sometimes it can happen instantly. We have techniques to show you how that can happen instantly. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it's a process. So you make an instant change and you recede. And you go back and you make the change and you recede. And each time you evolve to a higher level. But you have the power to shift all of this. You have the power to adopt a mindset of abundance. And when you do this, you will trade much freer. You'll trade much easier. You'll trade at a higher level. And you'll have so much more fun doing it. Not only that, when you adopt this mindset, it's going to affect every interaction you have with other people. You're not going to fight over petty things. You're not going to squibble and argue over $100 or $1,000 or things like you won't care because it'll all work out because there's always more coming. There's always more available. You'll be lighter. You'll be more loving. You'll be more peaceful. And you will start to have an effect on everyone around you. Look, on Trader Tip Tuesday, I usually have a very tight frame that I come to you with. I just turned on the camera and went today because this is on my heart. You get this right, everything changes. Get it right. And what day is it? That's right, it's Tuesday. But it's not just any Tuesday. It is Trader Tip Tuesday, where I come to you with tips and techniques like adopting an abundant mindset. They'll help you take your performance to an elite level. Not just your performance, but take your life to an elite level. I will see you next Tuesday.